on 1 Kings chapter 7. But Solomon was building his own house 13 years, and he finished all his house. He spent 7 years on the tabernacle for God, but 13 on his house. God about to be bigger. He built also the house of the forest of Lebanon. The length thereof was 100 cubits, and the breadth thereof 50 cubits, and the height thereof 30 cubits, upon 4 rows of cedar pillars, with cedar beams upon pillars. Alright, if you hear somebody coming in, it's Justin. Okay, and it was covered with cedar above upon the beam that laid on 45 pillars, 17 in row. And there was a window 3 rows, and light was against the light in 3 ranks. And all the doors and posts were squared with windows, and light was against light in 3 ranks. And he made a porch of pillars. The length thereof was 50 cubits, and the breadth thereof 30 cubits. And the porch was before them, and the other pillars and the thick beams were before them. Then he made a porch for the throne, where he might judge, even the porch of judgment, and it was covered with cedar from one side of the floor to the other. And his house, where he dwelt, had another court within the porch, which was of a like work. Solomon made also a house for Pharaoh's daughter, whom he had taken to wife, like unto his porch. All those were of costly stones, according to the measure of hewed stone, sawed with saws, within and without, even from the foundation unto copying, and so on the outside towards the great court. And the foundation was of costly stone, even great stone, stone of 10 cubits, and stones of 8 cubits. And above were costly stones after the measure hewed stone and cedars. And the great court around about was with 3 rows of hewed stone and rows of cedar beams, both for the inner court of the house of the Lord and for the porch of the house. And King Solomon sent and fetched Hiram out of Tyre, and he was a widow's son of the tribe of Naphtali. And his father was a man of Tyre, a worker in brass, and he was filled with wisdom, understanding, cunning to work all works of brass. And he came to King Solomon and wrought all his work. For he cast 2 pillars of brass, and 18 cubits high apiece, and a line of 12 cubits did compass either of them about. And he made 2 caterpillars of molten brass, to set upon the top of the pillars. The height of the caterpillar was 5 cubits, and the height of the other caterpillar was 5 cubits. And nets of checker work were wrought of chain work for the caterpillars which were upon the top of the pillars, 7 for one caterpillar, and 7 for the other caterpillar. We're going to look up this word caterpillar and see what it is. 18. And he made the pillars, and 2 rows round about upon 2 network to cover the caterpillars that were on the top, with pomegranates. And so did he for the other caterpillar. And the caterpillars that were upon the top of the pillars were of lily work in the porch, 4 cubits. And the caterpillars upon the 2 pillars had pomegranates also above, over against the belly which was by the network, and the pomegranates were 200 in row around about upon the other caterpillar. And he set up the pillars in the porch of the temple, and he set up the white pillar, and called the name of thereof Jachin, Jachim. And he set up the left pillar, and he called the name thereof Boaz. Now, if you guys want to go check it out, you can. But in Freemason, now, like I told you, I said that I believe that Solomon was a Freemason, and he was in witchcraft. He did not serve the Creator, Father God. Okay? And these are the 2 pillars in Freemason that, that's what they named them. Those are the name of those pillars in Freemasons. 22. And upon the top of the pillar was lily work. So was the work of the pillars finished. And he made a molten sea, 10 cubits, from one brim to the other, and it was round all about. And his height was 5 cubits, and a line of 30 cubits did compass it around about. And under the beam of it, round about, there was knobs compassing it, 10 in a cubit, compassing the sea round about. The knobs were cast in 2 rows, and when it was cast, it stood upon 12 oxen, 3 looking towards the north, and 3 towards the west, and 3 looking towards the south, and 3 looking towards the east. And the sea was set upon them, and their hinder parts were inward. And it was a handbreadth thick. And the brim thereof was white like the brim of a cup, with flowers of lilies. It contained 2,000 baths. And he made 10 bases of brass. 4 cubits was the length of one brass. A base, and 4 cubits in breadth thereof, and 3 cubits in height thereof. Let's see if I can turn on the light and I can see better. And the work of the base was on the manner that they had borders, and the borders were between the ledges. And on the borders that were between the ledge were lions, oxen, cherubims. Upon the ledge there was a base above, and beneath the lions and oxen were certain additions made of the thin work. And every base had 4 basin wheels, and plates of brass, and the 4 corners thereof had undersitters. Under the laver were undersitters molten at the side of every addition. And the mouth of it within the caterpillar and above was a cubit, but the mouth thereof was around about after the work of the base, a cubit and a half. And also upon the mouth of it were graven with the borders 4 square, not round. And under the borders were 4 wheels, and the axe trees of the wheels were joined to the base, and the height of a wheel was a cubit and a half, a cubit. And the work of the wheels was like the work of a chariot wheel. Their axe trees and their naves and their follies and their spokes were all molten, and there were 4 undersitters to the 4 corners of the one base, and the undersitters were of the very best base itself. And in the top of the base was there a round compass of a half a cubit high, and on the top of the base the leg thereof and the borders thereof were of the same. For on the plates of the ledge thereof and on the borders thereof he graved cherubims, lions, and palm trees, according to the portion of every one addition around about. And after this manner he made 10 basins. All of them had one cast, one measure, and one size. Then made he 10 lavers of brass, one laver containing 40 baths, and every laver was 4 cubits, and upon every one of the 10 bases was one laver. And he put 5 bases on the right side of the house, and 5 on the left side of the house. And he set the sea on the right side of the house eastward over against the south. Eastward over, okay. And Hiram made the lavers and the shovels and the basin. So Hiram made an end of doing all the work that he made King Solomon for the house of the Lord. The 2 pillars and the 2 bows of the caterpillars that were on the top of the 2 pillars, and the 2 network to cover the 2 bows of the caterpillars, which were upon the top of the pillars. Get me a drink. And 400 pomegranates for the 2 networks, even 2 rows of pomegranates for one network to cover the 2 bowls of the caterpillar that were upon the pillars. And the 10 bases and the 10 lavers on the bases, and 1 seat and 12 oxen under the seat.
Yeah.
And the pots and the shovels and the basin and all those vessels which Hiram made to King Solomon for the house of the Lord were of bright brass. 6. In the plain of Jordan did the king cast them, in the clay ground between Scoshes and Zortan. And Solomon lifted all the vessels unweighed, because they were exceedingly many. Neither was the weight of the brass found out. And Solomon made all the vessels that pertain unto the house of the Lord, the altar of gold, and the table of gold, whereupon the showbread was, and the candlesticks of pure gold, 5 on the right side and 5 on the left, before the oracle, with the flowers, and the lamps, and the tongs of gold, and the bowls, and the snuffers, and the basin, and the spoons, and the censers of pure gold, and the hangings of gold, both for the hinges of gold, both for the doors of the inner house, the most holy place, and for the doors of the house to wait of the tabernacle. So was the ending of all work that King Solomon made for the house of the Lord. And Solomon brought in the things which David his father had dedicated, even the silver and the gold, and the vessels did he put among the treasures of the house of the Lord. All right, we're on number 8, and we will finish that up. We'll read it tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye. The caterpillar is Chapiter, and in the concordant is 3805, and it is from the part of 3803 the capital of a column. And 3803, to enclose, hence, to crown, besiege, also to wait as a restraining oneself, beset round, compass about, to crowd, enclose, round, suffer. So it sounds like it was a jail. So that's what I am seeing that it is saying. Alright, we'll see you later.